Olympic genre, rake. The evolution of Greek civilization from earliest roots in Bronze Age to transformation and eventual decline under Roman and Byzantine rule, the legacy of ancient Greeks, particularly in areas of philosophy, art, science, and political. The main characteristics of ancient Greeks was democratic governments. Ancient Athens, famous for development of democracy, were the citizens that had right to participate in decisions. Literary excellence. Olympic spirit. The ancient Greeks imitate the Olympic Games in Olympia, which celebrate the physical process in athletes. Art and architecture. Greek and architecture were characterized by focus on symmetry, balance, and idealized human forms. Iconic structures such as Parthenon in Athens exemplify the classical Greek architecture. The principal characters of this civilization was Plato and Aristotle, and the main principal works was the Metaphysica.
Roman Empire. Epopee. Epopee is a genre where the poem talks about heroes and important or historical events. This genre exists since ancient Mesopotamian times, approximately several millennia old. Some of the characteristics in this genre are the use of epithets, having a muse, humanized gods, mixed fantasy and reality, and it's written in verse. Some famous authors of this genre are Virgil, a famous Roman poet known for the Aeneid. Horace was an outstanding poet known among the Romans. Ovid was a Roman poet known for the Ars Amatoria and Metamorphoses. Some famous works among the genre of epopee are the Epic of Gilgamesh is from the 18th century before Christ, and it is known for being one of the earliest known works of literature. Next is the Aeneid, that tells a story about Rome's founder. Lastly, the Ramayana is one of the greatest epopee poems from India.
Now I present to you cultures. Egypt was known for blending modern and ancient influences. Some of the most famous authors are Nahim Mahfouz, Taha Hussein, and Sonala Ibrahim. The most known works are the Great Pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx. And the last one, Temple of Karnak. Mesopotamian, referred to as the cradle of civilization, has a rich and massive culture that influenced human history. And the authors of this genre are Eneduana. Mesopotamia doesn't have like a lot of authors, so it only counts with historical and legal texts. Some of the most famous works are Epic of Gilgamesh. China. As we already know, China is incredibly diverse and has amazing history. One of the greatest authors is Confucius. Works of China are the Analects. India. It is incredibly diverse and it is shaped by thousands of years of history. The most famous author is Rabindranath Tagore. The works are the Vedas. Babylon, centered in the historic city of Babylon in Mesopotamia. The most famous author is Eneduana. And the famous works are Enuma Elish. Hebrew. It has ancient roots and is the language of Torah. The author of the genre is Samuel Agnon Nora. And finally, the work is the Book of Psalms.
Middle Ages. The Middle Ages began with the fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century. Several Germanic tribes and barbarians began to immigrate to Europe, and this contributed to the fall of the empire and the beginning of the Middle Ages. At these ages, empires were rising and formed the countries we know today. Literature was also a big thing at these ages. People like Juan de Mesa and Eugenio Lopez were a big impact in national lyric. Also, Dante Alighieri and Omar Khayyam were an impact in poetry classic. Juan de Mena made El laberinto de la fortuna and Eugenio Lopez made Seranillas.
The Renaissance. The Renaissance was the transition era from the Middle Ages to the modern age. This era lasted from the 14th century to the 17th century. It started because they discovered America, and in America they didn't have a god. They didn't have something to believe in. So they started thinking in Europe because they had a god. Or do they? The main genre of the Renaissance was poetry. Poetry attempts to show emotions by showing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. The most popular writers were William Shakespeare, and his most popular work was Hamlet. Another writer was Dante Alighieri, and his most popular work was The Divine Comedy.
Spanish Golden Age. Historical context spanned from the late 53rd century to the late 17th century. It was a period of cultural flourishing in Spain characterized by political, economic, and artistic prosperity. This era saw the union of Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella, the discovery of the American by Christopher Columbus in 1972, and the growth of Spain Empire. It was a time when Spanish got their major power. The genre produced a diverse range of literary and artistic works, but it was renowned of its contributions to Spanish drama and poetry and prose. Some of the most notable literary forms of the era including the commedia, sonnets, picaresque novels, and the epic story. The characteristics are by patriotic and religious fervor, heightened realism, and new interests in the earlier epics and ballads, together with the somewhat less pronounced influences of humanism and Neapolitanism. Some of the most important authors are Miguel Cervantes, who he made his masterpiece Don Quixote, and the other ones are Ben Jonson and Francisco Quevedo. Some of the works are Don Quixote by Miguel Cervantes, which it was the first modern novel that tells the story of an Anin Nobla, The Life of Lazarillo de Torres and His Fortunes and Adversities by Quevedo, The Alchemist by Ben Jonson, Life is a Dream by Pedro Calderón de la Barca, and Fuente Ovejuna by Lope Vega.
This era started when they discovered America. ¡Cállense! This was because they discovered America because they had another context. The historical context of this era basically was that they started thinking. ¡Deja! No hice nada. Pero está muy guapo, me distrae. Me ahogo en su mirada.
Several Germanic tribes and barbarians.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just.
She called me Mr. Bombastic.
Epopee, it's a genre where the poem talks about
As there no
This genre exists since several.
Oh,
my phone died.
no.
No worries. I had it to charge it.
Oh, go. Right.
Mesopotamian, Mamian. One of the greatest authors are. I don't like how I say it.
Okay.
Sí, ya lo estás viendo.
Una, dos, y...
The main genre of the Renaissance was poetry. Poetry attempts to show emotions by showing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, and rhythm. The poetry attempts to show emotions by carefully choosing and arranging language for its meaning, sound, and meaning. Hasta lo puedo referir mucho. This was because they were American. The Americans had another context. They didn't believe that they had multiple gods, and se apagó el celular.